We are one of the largest consumers of electricity on the island, yes. We use about anywhere from 6,500 to 8,000 kilowatt hours a day. We're in the process now, thanks to Lauren and National Grid. They came in and they just changed almost all of our light bulbs. All of our exterior stuff's gone to LED. Most of our interior stuff has gone to LED. We're seeing a drop in our electric usage. We've changed our process some. That's changed our electric usage.
What about using alternative energies to power this place?
There's a couple of programs out there right now. One's by Department of Energy and another one's by one of the other energy providers. One of them they're trying to use to reclaim the heat out of wastewater and try to heat your facilities with it. The other one, with Lauren's supposed to be coming out in about a week. We're going to look at considering possibly solar to heat the facilities. Because our furnaces that we have now, we have two big boilers in the basement, you'll see in a minute. We use about 200 gallons of fuel a day, oil a day.
Yep.
We're going to try to maybe put some solar panels up and see if we can almost eliminate our oil usage.
What about a wind turbine like the one in the high school?
Wouldn't bother me at all, but I don't know if it would be nice to have to try to offset some of that, that usage.
All right.
This is our standby generator. It's 1.5 megawatts. It's ultimately bigger than what we would ultimately use here altogether. They designed it so that we can power the houses just before you come into the gate are owned by the facility. They were built when they did the plan for employee housing. When I say we fed everything with oxygen, it's actually just air. All of these behind us are air blowers. We have 5 blowers specifically delegated to the membranes. We have 3 that aerate the initial aeration tanks, and then we have 3 other ones for our sludge tanks. I have 8 100 horsepower ones, and then there's 3 60 horsepower blowers out here. Again, very energy demanding. This is the final process in the facility before it goes out to the sand bed filters. That's the final product going out. That's what the process does.
You want me to drink it? See me drink it? You sure?
This is the final product going out. If you put this in a glass bottle next to drinking water, it's almost impossible to tell, except for, see that slight yellow print? That's just what, they say it's the guts and the bloods or the bugs or whatever. What we do is we judge it by, as soon as we walk in this room, we're smelling. You get that smell, and the next thing we're looking at is the color. That's part of our treatment. We know what we're looking for, but that's our ultimate product.
But does that light kill any microbes or anything in there?
It sterilizes everything. The UV does. It basically sterilizes. There's 2 banks. They're automatically cleaned by mineral oil wipers.
But this is the final right here.
This is the final product going on. What we're hearing here, this is our odor control. This is what you're hearing. It's a giant air scrubber. What it's doing is it's sucking everything off the top of all the tanks, all the process, it's sucking it to the very top. Coming in through here, going through a giant air scrubber. This is the only place that we use chemicals at all. We'll walk through and just show you the unit. Look at it.
Food additive. Citric acid.
What's in Coca-Cola? What's in soda?
Yeah.
If you look at every product, it says citric acid. This is our air scrubber. This is what scrubs. It actually blows the air through a water curd. Inside this unit is a bunch of media balls, they're plastic hollow core media balls, which actually will help. Sometimes they'll grow not a bacteria, but they'll grow almost like something like an algae or whatever you'll see. And that helps to take and eliminate all the odors. Twice a year we completely drain the unit and we pump a bunch of citric acid through it. It gets rid of all that stuff that's in there, anything that we don't want, flushes it down and we waste it and then we treat it again. Yeah, we're gonna go in and we're gonna take a right. Take a right.
Where's all your staff?
Hey, take a
The
right.
one-man show.
Dentist office. It shows the whole facility from start to finish. We started up at the headworks, went through our grit chamber into our clarifiers, and then went through the whole process for the filter, the membranes, our aeration, our anoxic zone. We went into the UV channel. We saw the UV channel. It shows our pumps. We can control the whole facility from here. This will also show our this shows our remote site. This shows all the pump stations on the island. This is Richard Moore. He's our process control guy and our dewatering guy. Richard will end up taking and he'll end up talking about the dewatering process that he's got running. This shows all of our pump stations around the island. For example, this will show us C Street downtown. That's the main pumping station. It'll tell us what we got one pump running right now. It shows any alarms that come in. And we can skip around to all the different. Say I go out to the airport. I go to the airport pump station. I can see the Sconset plant to a point. It just shows me all their alarms they have.
What do you got, pal? Right now I'm about to show you the feed sample. I'm sure Dave shows you the sludge tanks.
Yep.
So I'm going to show you what it looks like when it gets over here after being mixed. Then I'm show you what it looks like after get over here and it's mixed with the polymer.
So, I didn't hear this earlier part. This right here is organic. Basically, you could use it as compost.
This is our final product. It does still have some microbial life in it. But what it does now is it goes to the digester and into that giant furnace. That kills whatever left, and then it gets blended and mixed with everything. At the landfill.
Oh, the big tube.
The big tube.
Oh, it goes in there and does it mix with garbage in there too?
They mix it with all the trash. It helps break down all the trash. You can see the white specks. A lot of that's the grease I was talking about.
This is the sludge that comes out of the tank as it's mixed.
Okay.
Okay, and then this is it after it's mixed with polymer, after it flops up and starts to separate from the water. And then we dewater it at this point with this wheel press here that allows us to create a friction that holds the cake in for a certain amount of time due to the pressure until the amount of pressure builds up that would allow the arm to let out enough to let the cake back. And this is what you get here. And this is what we call, really technically this is what you call biomass. A lot of people think that it's poop, but it's no longer poop. This is the byproduct of treating your waste.
As far as wastewater facilities in Massachusetts, does every town have one of these?
Not every town. A lot of towns have pumping stations that will pump it to different towns.
But is the law, does the law say in Massachusetts that you have to treat water now?
Well, it's getting more and more strict. They're right now in the process of, and I know Libby's been to some of the meetings over there, they're trying to sewer the entire Cape, ultimately. P-Town has its own treatment facility. Chatham. I think there's something that's small in Yarmouth. I know Barnstable. We just had the folks here from Snyder Lance Foods on Tuesday from Cape Cod Potato Chips. They're actually getting ready to tear down their facility in Hyannis and build another wastewater plant of their own. They have to pre-treat it before it goes to Barnstable. They have to get all the oils.
But they're looking at a much smaller operation.
It's much smaller, but they came over here to see how we run because they want to buy these presses.
Okay.
So we had a very nice chat. We had 6 of their reps come over the other day.
So are there still towns on the Cape that still discharge without treating?
Oh, everyone has septic tanks, yes.
You either have to have a septic no water, nothing gets untreated though.
Nothing gets untreated. Ultimately, and a lot of people sometimes will argue, well, I don't use your treatment plant. Everyone ultimately uses this facility because the septic comes here, the finest, the hospital, everything comes here. So
and then the cost of treating water. I would imagine that the technology is getting so refined that it's getting cheaper, so that maybe other countries that can't afford it.
But I don't know if it's getting cheaper as far as the technology goes. There are other processes, like Wisconsin, for example, is a different process than this. It's a lot cheaper to operate.
I see.
Because it's contained in one tank.
Okay.
That's Steve Visco backing in now. He's bringing in brew waste. I can tell by the way he's pulling in.
Okay, brew waste?
He's coming from the brewery now with a load of brew waste.
What does that mean?
That's the waste product from their cleaning and their stilling and everything that they do out there. And it depends on what they're doing. If they're making beer, in about an hour, this whole plant's going to smell like a beer. If they're doing wine, all you smell is grapes. And now they've just started bringing us in Scotch, and that's a very unique smell. The whole plant has you can tell when they bring it in. So within an hour, the whole plant will smell because it's going to be sucking through odor control.